something different. Pick ban on the cards. Extra turn. Have to ban first. What will they do? How are they going to attack Team Reject? Hovering the Aquila ban.
That is the correct ban.
Yeah, makes sense, right? With Yachty, just such a performer on the Aquila. Something you've got to worry about. And, I mean, this is Cape Blanc. There's few better maps in the game for a sniper to just really put that work in.
I think it says a lot that when I was writing down the ban, I almost wrote down they banned Yachty just because like it's so clear who it's focused on. The Welkin ban is big though. Banning Welkin on Cape Blanc Observatory makes these cord extractors so difficult to capture.
Yeah, it makes the captures a lot more contentious. You're going to need to actually decisively win team fights, maybe relying on splitting up and capping far-flung objectives. It's definitely an interesting, very dynamic map type.
I am surprised, though, to see Welkin banned instead of Falcon, since Yachty's Aquila was banned. If you take out Falcon, all of a sudden, Yachty gets to play Narukami basically without pressure. Because you didn't, Ray Kaiser now gets to flex onto the Falcon. You can see EXTRATRUN just noticed that. Thinking about it, I think they're likely going to lock this in because otherwise you're out of options when it comes to countering Narukami.
They're thinking about it. The Sky Raider, I think you're right. The Falcon might be the better choice, but it's hard to predict what our Team Reject's going to do. No scan for the Narukami could be a problem on this map, but still, EXTRATRUN thinking of it, discussing it in the last seconds. Looks like it will be the Sky Raider, so no Falcon. Narukami potentially unchecked in this map. Definitely going to have eyes on Yachty, see what he can produce on that Narukami sniper.
I am really surprised to see a Sky Raider lock in instead of Falcon. It will put pressure on Yachty to really be of value in this map because when you have a situation like this where you are basically uncontested as a sniper, you also really have to make it work.
Yeah, you need like the other team, while they're not going to be able to necessarily deal as easily with the Narukami, they might have more pressure in the front line. So pressure on Yachty to show what he can do on that sniper. I mean, Narukami has maybe more than most strikers in this tournament fallen off. I think it was a little bit more popular at the start.
Yeah.
But as time has gone on, I think more and more teams have strayed away from it, have leaned on the Aquila. So I'm curious to see what Yachty brings out, what he can show in this tournament. Carrara, though, definitely going to be watching him on the Falcon.
As a Narukami enthusiast myself, I'm thinking about this. There's no Welkin in the game to stop the shots. There's no Falcon to hunt you down.
Look at this just Delta split from Team Rejects, taking the entire map, fully splitting, where EXTRATRUN are very grouped, very much playing that death ball style. Yet to see who's going to get the advantage, though, in this early engagement.
Udon flying high. Plenty of time on the Inferno. We've seen this Sky play style really work. Valkuma actually pretty low. Has to pop the fog on Stego just to stay alive, but nobody's actually focused on this just yet. Carrara hitting the flank just to try and stop the core extractor from being dismantled, but I'd like to see Reject actually get a body in there just to make sure that in all this haze, it doesn't get backcapped.
Lumine in trouble, dropping low under pressure from Carrara's Falcon. He would love to get in and find some kills. First comes in, EXTRATRUN, drop the striker first. Reject splitting from all sides, hitting from all angles, and EXTRATRUN are starting to crumble under the pressure. Carrara piling it on, chasing down these last remaining strikers, and EXTRATRUN trying to regroup, trying to fall back, and Yachty, he is just free-firing down on the objective.
Yeah, this is where the real gameplay is happening. Narukami on Cape Blanc, nobody even looking at her. Starting to feel pretty good. Marino is well identified that this is your job as the Elysnes. You've inherited needing to deal with Narukami, and so we'll likely see a lot of the focus from this Elysnes go into it, but Marino actually disengages from trying to take out a core extractor. Instead, making sure to peel for the team. Yachty does go down. It's Ray Kaiser and Akuma that collaborate on this.
It's a big shutdown, and another potentially available here. Aruma would love to find a second, and Reject have lost 2 strikers, and despite that early engagement looking good for them, the extractor did go the way of EXTRATRUN, and it looks like they might be able to cap a second here with 2 pickoffs. Is it enough to actually secure the objective, though? Team Reject trying to poke from the outside, deny these captures with no Welkin. Can be hard to secure the objective, even with a player advantage.
Carrara playing very well at the moment. It is just 1-0, and Reject, having lost a few players, can easily get back into this thing, but I say again, we really need to see them committing bodies to this objective. And we saw Reject ban the Welkin. Normally, Welkin's the person you'd be throwing at this. If you're not doing that, if nobody's actually on the Chloride Extractor, how can you expect to win Cape Blanc?
Extra turn, finding that second capture. Will swear on the flank. Now Mochi set up here on the Tricera. A third point in the bag for Extra Turn, and despite that initial fight being so difficult for them, you would never know it based on the score line. Reject find a trade of their own though, so both teams down one striker. Reject with a much shorter spawn time.
Sarah maybe about to be picked off. Aruma with the focus fire. Nice shot to take out Sarah, but it is traded as Yachty takes out Mochi as well. Aruma gets to play very aggressively, and you can see how even with as much fun as he has before the match, he is really dialed in when we get into game.
Yeah, that's what I like to see from a player. You know, playing with a lot of confidence, but also focusing when the time comes. Marino on the Elise Nest, diving in, hunting down those enemy backliners. Aruma, another shutdown, found in the engagement. 2 Chloride Extractors going to come up in very short order, though. So any pickoffs at this moment will be crucial.
These will be basically at the same time. Ray Kaiser dumping damage into Udon right now. Forces a defensive cooldown.
Low energy, in trouble potentially. Has to get back to the main group to get healed up. He's going to attempt a quick capture. Is there anyone to stop this? Okay, yes, damage in from Inferno. Does deny the cap.
I thought he was going to get that for sure. It was such a weird angle to try and dismantle from, and he actually does get this. Ray Kaiser making a great play for, again, maybe we've already seen this from Happiness, maybe an MVP. If you're able to disrupt this much, if you're able to capture this much.
Aruma getting a lot done on the Inferno. Now Udon trying to pump that damage for Team Rejects, but the board is all Extra Turn right now. As much as the kills have really been going both ways, Extra Turn have been winning these key engagements. Aruma, a big part of that, shuts down Shomaru. More attempts on the capture, but 2 strikers down for Team Reject. Do they really have what it takes to stop this? Everyone coming into the fray for Team Reject, but so many strikers low. This could be incredibly expensive for them. Eliseness even popped out of that armor, forced to use a second life. Another pick comes in for Extra Turn, and they're starting to run away with this map.
Didn't quite hit the dismantle there. Reject actually could have gotten the Chloride Extractor. They'd been a little more patient on the airdrop armor, but Macy Fishy dipping, dodging, and diving is about to be popped into Baby Eliseness once more. And they have to let Extra Turn take the Chloride Extractor up top. It is now 5-0, and Reject, they're getting rinsed on Cape Blanc.
Aruma is just doing the most right now, and Inferno constantly dumping damage, never under threat. Ray Kaiser also making it very difficult for Team Reject to really get into this fight, and as close as this map was at the start, it's turning into a bit of a blowout, Dia. 6-0, and things are looking grim for Team Reject. Still 1 striker on the spawn.
Reject just have nobody that they can commit to the point. They aren't running a Tricera. Their only tank is a Stego. And Eliseness isn't able to do enough when getting into the mix up against Extra Turn. Yachty, for as much as I really want to believe in this Narukami, for as much as this is a map where she should be set up for success, is doing a whole lot of nothing.
Yeah, Narukami has been so quiet. Forgettable performance even in this game. Shomaru bursted down, and Extra Turn are really just struggling to stay alive in the engagement. Yeah, map is going against them here. Cap attempted. Seems to be delayed for the moment, but feels inevitable here. Extra Turn still healthy, still bringing so many allies to bear on this objective. Reject forced into desperation contest here, but could cost some key strikers their lives. Carrara bursted down by Maruma, and we've seen this story before. Over the top on the Inferno, does get the dismantle on the large extractor, and Extra Turn, Aruma feeling himself. Knows he just put on a big performance in that last map.
For a game that I was struggling to call, that was the most dominant Cape Blanc observatory that I could have imagined.
It's a rough spot to be.
Wow.
To be thinking that this would be a close series, right, for these teams. To be thinking, oh, you know, we're evenly matched. This is going to go all the way. And to get just blown out like that.
Yeah.
And going for the Triceratops comp, I was so worried about that when Orca pulled it out, but they managed to get it done. But here in this match, it just falls flat. Doesn't work.
No Welkin, no Tricera. Who are you putting on point? And
yeah.
I was so focused on the Narukami, on the Falcon, and all the tools that Reject have to find kills that I think they were as well. And unfortunately, Extra Turn managing to evade, deal with a lot of that damage using Stego and Tricera utility both, just really never had to worry about it.
Yeah. And as you mentioned before, the Narukami just not finding any purchase on the map really whatsoever. Yachty, I think, though, is going to bring out the Aquila potentially for the rest of the series. that could be something they could rely on to change things. Maybe just the Narukami not able to fight in the same capacity, not able to deliver the same amount of damage downrange. But backs against the wall right now. It's going to be scary going into this pick ban map. Before we get to that, though, we got to talk about MVP. I'm kind of feeling Aruma. You know, this guy is so fun to watch, and he put up big numbers on the Inferno. Was pumping damage, really pressuring that main group.
I could see that. Like, Aruma MVP wouldn't surprise me. I felt like Ray Kaiser did a really good job. True. Like, Sky Raider, already we saw an MVP on Cape Blanc Observatory from Happiness earlier, and I felt like Ray Kaiser put up a similar performance, being really disruptive and also managing to participate in a lot of core extractor captures.
Sky Raider stocks are through the roof today. I mean, compared to day one, where I think maybe was one of the lowest valued strikers, now seems to be appearing in more and more compositions as teams start to realize, hey, like, there is incredible value in disrupting your opponent's setups and forcing them to relocate. You know, that creates opportunities elsewhere on the map. It allows you to really play that coordination game. And also, on Cape Blanc in particular, think about those disruptor missiles just denying capture, making it so difficult to stay where you want to be in capturing the objective, even as a sort of a quasi-replacement for that welcome gas. Yeah,
one of the few strikers that actually has the ability to do a little bit of damage over time as well. Maybe not in the same capacity as Hurricane, but does echo that, and really being able to deny with, like you said, the AoE, the jammer missiles, as well as the fire is really fantastic. Sky Raider continues to surprise me. Honestly, everybody here continues to surprise me.
Yeah, I'm curious, but I'm a little worried, honestly, to see these statistics once we get them available for you, because this was a really dominant map by EXTRATRUN, and it kind of shows in the merit points, man. Top performer is Udon, but doubled up in the merit points. This was not a close map.
Not at all. 8-0. I really did not expect this from Reject, who have shown us some incredible team play so far, but I think maybe just got a little bit lost in the sauce. I want to say of the draft, but also in trusting each other, because it's not like they didn't have the tools to make this map work. I don't think that not picking Tricera, not having a Welkin is the worst thing in the world, but it does require a lot more focus and coordination than I think Reject were prepared to actually put into winning the map.
Yeah, and I think the Narukami, I mean, the damage is decent, stats-wise, but you just got to think on this map in particular, it feels like you need to do more than damage. You need to find openers, you need to find pickoffs, and I mean, look at the Aruma 8-0 on this Inferno, just pumping damage. The direct damage really out of control from Inferno. I mean, so critical, and not taking that much damage himself, not really being focus fired at all.
They're really telling of what Reject had to focus on, which was just throwing bodies at the objective. Aruma, a very well-deserved MVP. You called it out yourself. Not only a great attitude.
Oh my god. That's rare in competitive Mecha Break. You don't see that every day.
No, it's a lot of damage. Oh, he's just like, he's not even
on him. He's styling on him. You're losing to this guy.
Isn't it scary when this is what locked in looks like?
This is wild. Like, I don't want to see this guy fully focused. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, terrifying player, and was able to find a lot of pickoffs, a lot of finishes on individuals throughout the map, and giving the numbers advantage over to EXTRATRUN was really the cherry on top of the map. I don't think that compositionally, stylistically, they needed it all the time, but it certainly helped them close this out in a way that was not even close.
Yeah, really well done. Udon putting out some big damage himself, was the SVP, I think, in this game, but Aruma having the real difference there. And I wonder, you know, for Team Reject, is it back to the drawing board compositionally? I think, man, I mean, I'm still a little skeptical of the going Tricera-less. Maybe there's a way, maybe there's a strategy that makes it work, but I just think this Tricera is a monster striker. So powerful, such great staying power on objectives, and great damage in their own right. You know, they're not just a tank, they also really put damage downrange.
Jokingly and with affection, you're really selling me on the turrets right now.
I'm such a turret believer in Mecha Break. I think the turret strat is broken. I think if you don't play it, you got to have something really wild cooked up.
Yeah.
I mean, in fairness, Orca did win, and they showed it can be done. So
yeah,
maybe
they did have something
wrong.
special cooked up.
Exactly,
you know?
They were very well prepared, and then they went to Palm Bay. They banned the Tricera. They knew, okay, on Palm Bay, maybe we just can't deal with it. We have to ban it. So they were very well prepared. They showed that they can make it work. For Rejects, though, well, I guess it's a question. was that just shuffle for failing, or is this showing that, okay, EXTRATRUN know how to deal with it? If you're not going to run Tricera, they're going to find a way to punish you.
That's a good question. I have a question of my own for you, though. What do you think of this Graceland Sky City pick by Reject?
It's interesting. I like the Inferno ban, I will say, because I think Aruma was MVP. I mean, he was putting in that work on the Inferno by taking it out of the equation. Okay, that's a lot less pressure on your main group, on your front line. At the same time, we've seen Graceland Sky City be very dominated by the heavy tanking setups. Taking those ultimate heights right at the start of the round can be so critical. At least this ban comes in from EXTRATRUN, so they don't want to deal with that annoying disruptor with all those extra lives in the elimination map. I'm curious, though, to see Yachty. Is it going to be the Aquila? Yes. Seems to be locked in for now.
I'm really surprised to not see a Stego ban. I think the Stego ban's really powerful on Graceland Sky City, and it does tell me that EXTRATRUN feel maybe a little more confident in their own ability to bunker up and out-war of attrition Reject rather than taking the fight to them and getting aggressive.
And this is a double flyer setup being queued for EXTRATRUN. Pretty wild. They've got the conventional Stego Tricera Welkin with Illuminate in the main group, but 2 flyers. We haven't seen much of this in the tournament. I will say Yachty is going to have his work cut out for him on the Aquila, but I can see Aquila being really annoying, and 2 flyers in an elimination map is very risky, right? As much as they can deal damage and can be oppressive, they can also be punished by separating from their team. They can be vulnerable to focus fire. One of these flyers gets Welkin boxed with an Aquila nearby, you're in trouble.
Fortunately, they will have Illuminate to keep everyone just fine and topped up. And I think that this, even more so than before, really does lean into being able to out-war of attrition. If you're not picking up somebody like Inferno or somebody like Aquila on EXTRATRUN, you're not planning on just running over and finding quick picks. You are planning on slowly whittling you down. Falcon's going to do that. Sky Raider is going to make holding a position very difficult. And then you've got your strong core, the Welkin, Illuminate, Tricera, Stego, to just rain down fire.
I think the early positioning battle is going to be crucially important.
Yeah.
Right? Like, if you're able to secure a position where the flyers struggle to reach you for Team Reject, I think it could be very difficult to break in a tanking setup. By the same token, if EXTRATRUN control the skies, they control a powerful position on the high ground, they could really bring damage down.
A lot of pressure on Yachty in this match, even more so than there was before. Having gone from the Narukami into the Aquila, and now with everyone fighting inside, the Aquila has really got to be worthwhile. It has to be the solution to all of Reject's problems, because EXTRATRUN, they are having none of them.
Yeah, EXTRATRUN seem to be getting pushed out of this middle ground. It makes sense given the double flyers, but Aruma won't give up so easily, is sending sorties through, trying to attack, but knows, I mean, that Welkin really wants to grab him in a box. Raikezr here as well in the main group, trying to bring damage down in the front line, and EXTRATRUN, both teams doubling down, willing to take this fight. There's absolutely no passivity in this round of Graceland Sky City.
Raikezr did get trapped for a second. We haven't actually seen any kills go through just yet, but Raikezr, pretty darn low, is going to need a little bit of healing, and actually does manage to get some. So great job by Hiwami to recognize that, support the team. It is a dance with death that EXTRATRUN are taking.
Yeah, both teams willing to just trade it out. The double flyers are so far uncaught. Pressure maybe starting to mount on Team Reject, but they're continuing to fight well. Macy Fishy has a lot to worry about here. Trying to stay alive, now being focus fired. It is the first one to fall.
Macy Fishy going down on the Welkin gives you no way to trap the flyers. It gives you no defensive field to put up to protect your Stego Tricera. And this is the time where your Sky Raider, your Falcon for EXTRATRUN just get to go to town.
It's going to be a defensive smoke pop here from the Stego. Aruma scouting out the opponents. For now, EXTRATRUN content to be up 1. They're starting to put some pressure down. And when that Stego gas wears out, there is an opening here, I think, for EXTRATRUN to potentially get aggressive. However, they are up 1-0. They don't necessarily have to force anything.
At this point, I think you're right. And not only do you not have to force anything, but this plays exactly into your compositional desires to just lay siege, and it is working slowly but surely. Reject do not have the wherewithal to put up with this. Yachty gets taken down by a barrage of damage slowly over time. There's just nothing you can do.
Falcoma traded back, though, so both teams down to striker. Reject have the shorter spawn time. Many players low on Team Reject, though. EXTRATRUN still healthy on their remaining strikers. Aruma looking to find another
he almost got it.
finishing blow, extremely close. Knows there's someone who's vulnerable to a pickoff. trying to call for the rest of the team to pile on the pressure. Reject now have the striker advantage, though, seem to have evaded death for that moment.
He's almost going to find Sarah. That's the Luminate. If they're able to take this down, it's such a big turning point for EXTRATRUN. No sustain now on Reject as Sarah goes down. And Yachty up in the sky trying to make things work with the Aquila, trying to find just a few picks here and there, but isn't able to deal enough damage as the tanks dip and dodge, and the Flyers are all over Yachty, not giving him a safe place to stand.
The Aquila has really struggled to get purchase in this round with so much of the fight being indoors at close range. This is not what you want for the Aquila, and so Yachty really being dealt with so far in the round. Things seem to have stabilized for the moment, but with EXTRATRUN at a 2-point advantage, they're kind of happy to slow the game down. Rick Kaiser extremely low, needs to regroup, needs to get healed with the squad. He's shut down though. Reject even up the score now. 3-3, 2 pickoffs.
Huge props to Yachty for being able to make that work. Finds the win, finds the evening of the score. Macy Fishy takes a quick reprieve from the battle as Valkyma gets found by Yachty. Immediate back off by the Aquila, and Reject now take the advantage with yet another kill.
And as quickly as EXTRATRUN found an advantage, it all slips against them now. They're just desperately trying to stay alive, trying to regroup. 55 seconds in the round. They will have one last moment to get their spawners back into the fight and try to re-engage to even the score line, but there's not much time to work with, and EXTRATRUN are very healthy.
43 seconds is an extremely fast kill in Mecha Break. It's really difficult to trap people.
Hold on.
And even with Marino, who actually takes Kurara out of the sky, it's 4-4. Reject and EXTRATRUN might be going into overtime.
That's massive, and with the player advantage, I think EXTRATRUN could elect to push the tempo. So far, they're playing slow. Both teams waiting it out, not forcing anything. EXTRATRUN, I think they're going to be happy to have the overtime triggered, right? More time to work with. Welkenbox misses. Aruma baited that one out, and now starting to really pour on the flanking pressure. The backline for Rejects is a bit exposed to these Flyers. EXTRATRUN starting to spread out, hit from multiple angles. This has been a success point for them before.
Unrelenting pressure by the Flyers. That is the recipe for success, and Aruma takes the risk, moving through, doesn't get boxed on the way either, and continues laying pressure into the backline, is watching for the repair as Marino skates through the arena. We are in overtime.
EXTRATRUN are setting up for a big flanking play, trying to hit from all sides right now. That is leaving their main group a little bit exposed, but they're about to collapse. Trying to find one pickoff could decide the whole round. Reject low fluid armor on many of these key strikers. EXTRATRUN see if they want to pour on the pressure here. Udon low, in trouble, getting pressured, can't quite set up in the turret form. Now with the help of the Welkenbox, he's going to go for the commitment, and EXTRATRUN would love to find something, would love to hit from the flank. Luminate under so much pressure to keep their allies alive.
Sarah being focused down as well, though. Remember, we've got that Falcon constantly on your back. Kurara having to defend while Aruma is constantly moving in, threatening the healers in the back line, and it seems almost indefensible. There's not much that you can do against Aruma because there's so much pressure from the other side.
Full flank comes in from EXTRATRUN. They hit from behind, and they're able to burst a striker down. That's a massive round win.
That was close. I mean, blink and you'll miss it because overtime was over incredibly quickly. As much as that fight gets drawn out, the war of attrition is working in favor of extra time.
Here we go. This opening rollout so critical on Grayson Sky City. Neither team going for that conning tower ultimate height. I think EXTRATRUN very happy to roll this map with the wide open skybox. A lot of room for these Flyers to work with.
Aruma just instantly doesn't let Yachty have a second. Finds him and disables the ability for a sniper to take the off angle and dismantle EXTRATRUN. Kurara is trying to return the favor, but into the heavy tank composition, these missiles simply aren't doing nearly as much as they would on a squishy target.
Yachty looking to find a burst here. One pickoff would be massive. Change the strategic edge here.
That was close.
EXTRATRUN struggling to stay alive, and I think Reject smell blood in the water. They start pushing forward a little bit. Yachty doesn't want to overextend, though, waiting for the main group to be ready for the engagement. Kurara sees the target with no fluid armor. One kill could drastically change him out. Kurara boxed in with the Welkin.
Nice job, Marino. Sees the problem, boxes it, and solves it immediately. EXTRATRUN up 1-0, and it is all Welkin all day for that.
Massive by Marino. He's been a real thorn in the side for Kurara, getting EXTRATRUN to the player advantage, but they want more. They know that with this first kill, they could easily find a second, a third to take the round out of control, potentially end this series here and now. EXTRATRUN trying to keep that pressure on, but Reject holding strong on the low ground. difficult to evict from this position.
Some sick jammer missiles got thrown into them. It's no wonder that we see Stego Gas popped in return. Macy Fishy jumps up onto the high ground, but once again it is Marino taking down Yachty this time. He's finding the squishy targets, basically an assassin Welkin.
Carrara struggling to find a low target to stick on, can't get any connection just yet. EXTRATRUN are bleeding out their opponents. Kaiser extremely low though, could be vulnerable to a pickoff. Reject trying to stay alive, trying to stabilize. Udon dropping low on the main health bar, needs to pop everything defensively. Marino once again going all in, senses an opportunity to strike. The rest of the team trying to double down, trying to commit into this main stage. Udon dropping super low, under pressure from the Welkin. Marino finds another.
And Sarah low as well. On the Lumine, has almost no defenses. That is the perfect time for EXTRATRUN to strike. When you've got flyers, when you can jump all over this Lumine. Marino is just having a great time hanging out with Macy Fishy. Boxes in the enemy Welkin, looks for the finish, but gets boxed out himself. Macy Fishy will end up going down. It is 4-0 in favor of EXTRATRUN, and remember, there is still a really low Lumine running around here.
Reject struggling with their tournament life on the line. They're feeling the pressure being poured on by these flyers, and Marino is just slamming the door on this Welkin, crushing through this enemy backlines. Reject extremely low players, vulnerable as well to the double flyers, hunting them down. This Lumine under pressure, targeted, being called out by EXTRATRUN, and Marino ready to pull the trigger at any point here. EXTRATRUN starting to push forward, starting to pressure this advantage. Still,
I'm getting emotional with the incredible flyer play that we have seen out of Raykazer so far. He is managing to make this Sky Raider look so good, and at the same time we have this incredibly sticky Falcon that is working with you. Aruma constantly keeping Sarah from being able to heal effectively, from being able to play Lumine effectively. It's got you up 4-0 with 1:30 seconds left. Reject need a miracle, and they managed to find at least one kill, making this, I'll say, a little easier, but not by much.
This is the start of something, but they have multiple low players. They need to be very careful not to drop any mistakes here. EXTRATRUN doubling down, even down the striker. They find the next elimination, so close to winning this map and the series, so close to progressing on further in the tournament. It's Marino. He's been a hero for the squad so far. Looking forward to one more elimination to close out the map.
He's got it.
He's got it.
It's Marino all day, baby. Marino on the Welkin. We were praising flyers. Marino on the Welkin clutched that game.
So, man, I mean, that's, I think, one of the easiest MVP calls of the tournament. Marino on Grayson Sky City, crucially finding those welcome boxes. I mean, they were down a key elimination. They were in a spot where, okay, they would have been forced into some desperation, over-aggressive move. And then Marino, out of nowhere, finds the welcome box in the enemy Falcon, evens the scoreline. That creates the tactical opportunity for them to slow the game down and to play it at their own pace. Marino was so clutch there on the welcome.
And it's even more impressive when he's not just boxing the Falcon, but he's doing most of the damage in the box as well. A lot of times at high-level play, you see Welkin get evaded in the box, and it's more up to his teammates with some of the lock-on to help try and take out this Falcon. It wasn't the case. Marino was not letting these squishies just dance around unhindered. Marino was taking the axe, and he was executing, folks.
Yeah, I think a top-tier Welkin is proving to be a critical element at this level of Mecha Break, and Marino has shown himself to be just that. Really excited to see where these guys go in the rest of the tournament, because we thought this was going to be much closer than it ended up being. EXTRATRUN seemed to have leveled up here.
Yeah, I was expecting the team play from Reject to really be their edge, and while it was really clear in both games that Reject had a game plan, EXTRATRUN's ability to dismantle compositions that put them apart from other squads at the very start of the tournament, I think saw a really good showcase here, especially in Graceland Sky City, where they're able to mesh these two strengths, the tanks, and also having some incredibly potent flankers that are able to disrupt just enough that the tanks get more value. And it's a nice way of seeing their flanking playstyle that was used just as a brute force. We're going to slice these tanks apart, now mixed with a more traditional style that gives them consistency.
I was impressed with the team play from EXTRATRUN, right? In that first round, especially with Graceland Sky City, hitting some big team rotates, taking risks, making a call like, look, we're going to go for a play, hit them from the flank. And time again, their execution paid off. So individually, you've got stars like Aruma emerging, whether it was on that Inferno on map 1, Marino on the Welkin map 2. Really, really impressive stuff. But then as a team, they really coalesced, and they were able to fight back in scenarios where a weaker squad would have crumbled, would have just felt the pressure, would have made too many mistakes. they were down an elimination with 30 seconds on the clock on Grace and Sky City. I mean, most teams just lose from that position. It takes a really strong squad to be able to overcome that and still find the big plays. So Marino, not as flashy in the player cans, not dancing for us, but putting on a show in the game.
Yeah.
Counts.
A different way of being locked in, you know? The duality of man demonstrated by EXTRATRUN.
Yeah, they've got it all on the squad, and maybe that's what you need, right? You need the high energy and the focus. Let's take a look at some of the stats from the game, and Marino head and shoulders above the rest. This is one of the better Welcome games I think we've seen all tournament long. Look at that damage taken. He's soaking 4 million damage. What the heck?
Yeah, I mean, normally you see Welkins get, you know, MVP level performances when they're able to box cap, and so things like Cape Blanc Observatory, things like Crop Sinkhole, but this was a totally different style of Welkin, and I want to give props just from a game plan perspective to EXTRATRUN as well, especially on Grace and Sky City. They were doing a great job of isolating the targets that could be taken down, the Saras and the Yachties on reject, who never got a moment to themselves. You didn't really see Sarah able to output heals without being pressured, and Yachty barely got any of that long-range damage because somebody, be it Aruma, be it Raykazer, be it Marino, was on him.
And Hawami with a pretty big repair gap as well on the Lumine, getting significantly more repair throughout the match. So EXTRATRUN showing themselves to be a great team in the main tank play. They're great when they split up and they play individualistically. I mean, they have the diversity. We've been talking about that as a linchpin for teams to go far in the tournament, to challenge some of the top squads. You need to have more than one look, more than one strategy in your book. If you're a one-trick pony, you're going to get attacked time and time again in that pick ban phase. So props to EXTRATRUN developing into a squad that could really make a run in this lower bracket.
And it's got to be pointed out, with Marino taking a very well-deserved MVP, that EXTRATRUN are also a team that got dealt a difficult